And then I had to call the police. Well, technically, it's harassment. Can you believe she's doing that? All of those negative reviews for £46. She reckons she's gonna come to my site and talk to my client about how much of a dickhead she is. Bring it. It's called trespass, it's called harassment. Go and yourself. So welcome to another episode of Cleaning Chronicles. This time, wow. Now we always have staff issues because humans are dickheads. People equal pain, people equals profit. This week, we've had some interesting issues. So one lady who we found sitting in the toilet cubicles on her phone instead of working, misrepresenting the hours she was working, claiming she did more when she didn't, doing shit quality, got dismissed. Anyway, she's up begging on my line for £46 of holiday pay that she thinks she's due. Now, I don't think she's due it. I've done my calculations, spoken to HR, whatever. Now, that's her only issue, right? 46 quid, everything else has been paid, whatever. But she's been aggressive and rude from the start, which is fine, no? We paid the final pay, we paid the holiday pay, like job done. Anyway, spoke to HR and said, look, if it turns out on some crazy thing we're wrong about the holiday pay, what's the worst that can happen? What is the worst that can happen? She goes to ACAS, I say F off. She then goes to tribunal. 12 to 18 months later, we have a tribunal. Lots of paperwork, lots of time for her. I didn't do anything. And then if they find that she's wrong, that's it. And if they find that I'm wrong, I'll be ordered to pay her £46 in 12 to 18 months from now. And I said, okay. You might think, oh, it's a small battle, just pay her. I'm like, well, no, because we don't owe her that. Like, she can get, and this is a bit of a theme with the other member of staff, who I have to call the police on, of people thinking they're entitled to certain things. There are .gov calculators that you can use to work this out. And there are contracts which have deductions in, things like that. Although you've got to be careful with that. You know, if you don't have an HR advisor or in-house or external, and you have staff, be careful. Honestly, like my HR team, wowza, worth the weight in gold. Worth every single penny. Obviously, if you've got a really small team or, you know, you work with contracts, obviously it's a bit different. But I have 65 to 75 staff, depending on season, and how much we're growing. So HR is really important. Now, because she thinks she owes the money and she's quite aggressive, she's then decided to leave lots of reviews on Google, and she's claiming that they're not, you know, her, except that one of them was under her boyfriend's name and then two of them were under her name, but the rest were under fake accounts. So, and they all happened at the same time and Google's removed them anyway, but yeah, crazy. So I'll be honest with you, I'm gonna be petty. This case for me is closed. Go to ACAS, I'm gonna tell them to fuck off. Go to tribunal, and in 12 to 18 months, whatever comes out, I'll deal with it then. But you can be minus £46 down for 12 to 18 months, if that's even the case. I don't know who you think you are leaving negative reviews on, but people, help me out. Go on my page and report the reviews, you'll see them. We actually do a good service and we deal with dickheads. It's a shame there's no reviews from members of staff because, let me tell you something, man. I've got a long list. Long list. So that's the first kind of issue. I mean, she's still leaving reviews. I think she left one last night, again, under her surname, but a different first name. And she claims not to have left them. Anyways, it's in the hands of the court, apparently. Well, it's not. But anyway, so that's the first issue we've had, which is actually quite irritating because, you know, obviously having those negative reviews, potential clients, current clients can see them, and it may raise questions from them. And obviously, they're quite obviously fake reviews, the accounts, everything, but you know, it still puts people off, especially if they're just searching, hey, cleaners near me, and they see that, you know, our number isn't 4.9, it's now 3.9. And that's quite irritating. That's what happens, you know, you get this sometimes. She also left a review on Indeed, that's been removed as well, so yeah, much ado about nothing, could be. So next is, okay, so we had a cleaner we hired. She was gonna buy a company car, because she didn't have one. She didn't for whatever reason, that's cool. We're now selling that. It's like a little Hyundai, I don't know what it is. 400 quid. If you want it, it's on Facebook Marketplace. Otherwise, give me a shout. Full service history, I think. But we inherited it when I bought one of the businesses. And she didn't do that, it's fine. We then agreed, okay, how are you gonna get to work? Because you live close enough, but they're a bit awkward. You kind of need something with wheels at the very minimum. So we agreed like a cycle to work scheme, drew up a contract, agreed it on WhatsApp, blah, blah, blah. This contract in the first 3 lines says, this is a salary deduction. The bike will be paid for from your salary. Obviously we can send it as an advance. You know, if they take payment on the 3rd and you don't get paid till the 28th, we will send you that money. And we have even sent her money for hats and gloves as an advance. And also just some other advances because she just needed it. Anyways, lots of issues with not turning up at the right time, not finishing at the right time because this client wants it done by a specific time so that the users of the site can crack on and use it. You know, this finish time wasn't agreed with the client. They could have come out of nowhere and said, we need this time. I said, well, look, historically that wasn't agreed. We're happy to agree to it, but it's gonna take a bit of time to just get someone in there because it's very, very early in the morning. And obviously it's cold, it's dark, whatever, which is an important thing to note. But if you want to make money then and you live in England, you're coming over here, all fucking country, then you gotta get used to the fucking shit weather, haven't you? And we pay for your gloves and your hat. It's going okay, but we're just sort of getting various levels of complaint. And you know, we're passing the feedback on and she's taking it gracefully. Now, she's a bit too chatty patty, yeah? Chatty patty. And, you know, she keeps on about this bike thing after her first paycheck and says, well, what are you doing? You didn't tax me correctly, I'm a contractor. When did you say that? You're PAYE. Go speak to HMRC, not our problem. If you want to be a contractor, cool, let's talk about it. But that ain't our problem. HMRC sorts your tax code out. We just follow instructions. You know what I mean? HMRC has us gun to our head at all times. You know, stealing from us as well. To then just do nothing with it. And, you know, she kind of kicked off about that. So, we, you know, said, right, you need to come up with a solution to this. And you know when people talk to me like that? When you're not my superior. Yeah, you're not my father. I don't know who you think you are. You ain't talking like that. And also, it's just respect. Like, I don't even talk to cleaning staff like that. Because, unless I'm absolutely pushed to, because, like, you just don't need to. And when someone does that, I'll be honest, it gets my back up and I'm like, you know what? I'm not helping you. I'm not, like, firstly, I was never going to help in this situation because she signed the contract, it's clear as day, and we've spoken about it over multiple messages. So there's nothing to talk about. But she said that, I was like, you know what? Simple. This is the contract you signed. Here's a screenshot. The matter is closed. And I get another 3 messages. Oh, you know, I'm not complaining. I'm just complaining, but I'm not complaining. No, I'm not racist, but I'm just... You know people who say that. Respectfully, I'm about to disrespect you. Anyways, cool. All this bullshit kicks off. We invite her to a probation meeting and say, look, you know, generically, we want to talk about some things. I get a response. I want to raise a grievance and resign. Cool, you resigned. So I'm not investigating a grievance. I don't have to. You're not my employee anymore. So yeah, smart. And she claims that in this email, I know HR and I know law. You fucked up because you shouldn't have resigned. And she tried to go for a constructive dismissal or whatever. You can't get that under 2 years. Yeah, so anyways, stupid. Google could have helped here. And she sends a whole bunch of things. Misrepresentation of hours. You made me go in the cold and dark to work. Okay. You you didn't give me enough time off between working hours because you're meant to have 11 hours. She had 24 hours between shifts. Start at 5 a.m. and then, okay, not 24, 20. Start at 5 a.m, 4-hour shift, then start again at 5, so that's 20 hours, right? Give or take. So where's anyways, a bunch of other things. And I was like, oh, you know, your eyes are also far back in your head, like I can see behind my head. Anyway, sent to HR and said, yo, what's happening? Here's our side of events, like, what's the dealio? And they just came back and said, she hasn't got a single valid point. The only valid point would be the deductions for the bike, but we can see on the contractor, like, it's all 100% agreed. And they were like, look, what do you want to do? And I was like, yeah. And then anyway, she kept sending messages. Oh, I'm going to go to site. Oh, I got about 7 messages, yeah, like an ex-girlfriend. I never had an ex-girlfriend. And I understand from, you know, the internet. Or ex-boyfriend. Ex-boyfriends are worse, let's be honest, yeah. And just over and over, like, just also begging, just pay me a month and then some and then cover the bike and then we're fine. That was her first, like, threat and demand. And when she said that, I was like, are you stupid? You're not even getting a quid. You're not even getting £1 off me. £1! Yeah. So anyways, I'm telling you this because people, you know, are a pain in the ass and you have to deal with these issues. And if she'd had over 2 years service, this would have been a bigger issue if there were, you know, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, I'm going to talk to your client. I'm going to go tell her. I'd already sent the kind of message saying if she comes on site, it's trespass. She doesn't work for us. She's refusing to drop things off. Yeah, don't engage, basically. Cool. He's like, yeah, no worries. And she keeps going on. I'm going to go talk to them. I'm going to ruin your reputation. They're, oh no, I'm not going to ruin your reputation. Just pay me, just pay me, just pay me. I said, you know what? Cool. So how did I respond? We accept the resignation formally. And then say, you'll be paid at the end of the month, you fucking dickhead. Why do you think you're getting paid up front now? Like, are you Nando's? Idiot. And I also had to send a cease and desist. She didn't read it properly because I put in there that I've contacted the police who were going to contact her to sort her out. And she just didn't read it because her response was, I don't give a shit about your letter, just pay me, blah, blah. Cool. So first time sending a cease and desist, that was fun. And obviously first time ever, I think, filing a police report, you know, because I ain't no snitch. I just know, but like, fuck the police, they don't be like me. Sexist, racist and such in this institution. Anyway. Because it's technically harassment and potential trespass and something else to do with conflicting with business interests. So I've experienced enough in business over 7-8 years now to know how to handle this shit. If you're not, and there's no one in your corner fighting for you, a mentor, a guide, whatever, you need to get your ass to my mastermind. Yeah, it's happening in January, people. Click the link in the description and find out more. That was a very nice segue. So that has been kind of taking up a bit of time, just in terms of like going back and forth with HR to make sure that like what I want to do is fully halal with HR, you know, because I can overstep the mark. Me as a person, I very much can and will. But when it comes to commercial litigation, that's different. But with, you know, tenants and with staff that are overprotected. So that's been fun. That reminds me, client who claims that if you remember CCTV, we were on site for 2 hours, not 3 hours, said the cleaner was allergic to chocolate when said the cleaner ate their hot chocolate when she's allergic to hot chocolate, blah, blah, blah. The manager, little prick, really emotional. I'm probably gonna name and shame the company at some point. I mean, you've already heard of them, they're like irrelevant, but don't wanna pay. So they came back, past my 7-day deadline. I've already sent the small claims court for $4,000, I think, all in. Do I think I have a good shot at this one? I think I do. I'll tell you why, because they brought the CCTV up way after termination. And they also argued that and said, just because we brought it up later doesn't dismiss the fact that it is there as evidence and that's an issue. And that's fine. Like, I'm not dismissing that. Also, they still haven't sent it to me. I've asked 4 times for the CCTV. My point is, if the CCTV exists and you did see us there for 2 hours, that is not a representation, a breach of the material contract, right? It's not. What it is a proven and accepted fault that we then would issue a credit note, speak to the cleaner, get rid of the cleaner if needed, take relevant action and fix it and probably give you some hours for free, right? In our contract, you cannot just terminate because the cleaner hasn't turned up or didn't turn up for the right time. We have that happen sometimes. Cleaner leaves early or cleaner doesn't turn up because they're ill, because of what. Clients don't just terminate, right? So this little bitch who's an employee who now has passed on to his legal team, who, I don't know, when you face up against kind of bigger companies, you do think like, you know what, do we have a shot? You know, but legally, their rationale for cancelling it doesn't make sense in line with the terms of our contract. And so that is what I'm kind of going off. So their main argument is, well, the CCTV existed when we terminated, but it wasn't the reason. And we gave some performance issues, things like that. Okay, they did give performance issues. We fixed them. They weren't in writing either. They weren't proven and accepted in writing. We also have 30 days to fix them. They terminated them before 30 days. So there's lots of things here where, from my perspective, it's clause 2, clause 3, clause 6, clause 7. You haven't adhered to these. And tell me what clauses we've broken. That's where I'm at with the litigation on this one. It will probably go to mediation, which I've got with another client who's just a little dick. And that's happening in a month, I think. That'll be quite interesting. Never done mediation before it goes to court. And I will happily take that to court. I'll pay the 90 quid, whatever. Same with this one. We'll get mediation and then we'll go to court. I'm not fussed. Unless you're going to offer me a settlement, then honestly, all I have to say is SYM, which if you don't know stands for suck your mother, because I'm just not the person to play with. If you owe money and you've signed a contract, fuck around and find out, like, this is business. Like, does it take me much time to deal with these things? No, not really, because I have staff, because I have a good structure. You know, if the sums of money were insignificant, I'd probably let go. But, you know, $4,000, fairly significant. That's $4,000 of profit, because that's what it would have been for the year if we carried on, for example. The other one's about $1,000. And to be fair, that one is because they just to be fair, both of these litigations, they've both been dicks. So, which in most times we are going to be dicks when it comes to commercial litigation, right? So because of that, I'm like even more inclined to be like, you know what? I've already paid the legal fees, you know, in terms of the claim fee. The court fee really isn't that much. Like, I'll do it just for the experience, just to actually get to that stage, because everything's settled before that so far. Or I've sent bailiffs, stuff like that, to see like, how is it handled? You know, am I on the right track? Like, in future, cool, I know what we can win, what we can't win. It's a great experience, you know? And for the money, it's worth it. So, yeah, it's been an interesting week in terms of lots of fighting, you know, which can get, even if it doesn't take up that much time, it can kind of be exhausting, but I have to compartmentalize it and say, I actually forgot about these litigations until they responded and was like, oh yeah, you lot. So it doesn't bother me, because these also are cases where they can't countersue me because there's nothing to countersue me for. Like, I have a genuine legal claim to this money and I can argue legally, logically, that I'm due it. And it's the same for you lot, man, who loan people money and do JVs and all this shit, and you lose your money because half the time is your fault, half the time is their fault, and you don't do anything about it, when there's always something that can be done if you know the right people. I don't mean the boys with baseball bats, I mean like people legally, and if you just use some initiative. So yeah, I want to do a podcast about people who've loaned money and lost it. If that's you, please send me a message on Instagram, send me a voice note if you want your voice to be in the podcast. If not, write it out and I will do an episode on it. and what I would advise in that situation. I won't name you. You tell me if you want to be named, you can, whatever. But I won't name the person either because I ain't trying to catch a case. But I think it could be really helpful. So if you'd loaned money, you've lost it, you've invested it with someone, you read it, whatever, you lost money, send me a DM on Instagram. I want to chat to you. And click the link in my bio if you're serious about growing a business. Only 2% of UK businesses get past $1 million turnover. I did it in 2.5 years. Some of your dads are 70 and they still ain't done it. So yeah, I think I can help you.